You guys ready? Are you ready? We are starting with Becky Lynch. We are gonna start with Becky Lynch. We have her entrance. It looks like a recent entrance 10 months ago. Her shocking return at Wrestlemania 41. Then we have her most dominant moments, most savage moments, and her career story. So give me 1 second because I have to. Wait. Why you start? Let me put my glasses back on because I can't see squat. Squat diggity. Sip talking about hey YouTube. Everyone say hey to YouTubes. This is going on the YouTubes. All right, yeah, we're starting with Becky Lynch. This is her WrestleMania 41 entrance. Ooh, okay, she bad.
How do you feel now, Wade?
I like the little pathway to entry. She's from Ireland. I would love to hear her accent. They all crying. They happy to see her come back. Oh, you did not retire Becky Lynch. She came back to give you some, baby. Okay, she looks pretty bad. She looks pretty bad. Nickname is the Man. That's terrifying. Who is this that's with Becky Lynch here? I don't know who that is. I heard them say it's Raquel, obviously, on the other side. Who is this? Because yeah, I love her fit, by the way. Her fit looks freaking crazy. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, she is bad. I'm already loving it. She's already badass. Okay, I feel like I need to get some of her career story to really get the depth of how badass she is. Lyra Valkyria. Very interesting. I don't think I've heard of that girl. Should I add her to the list? Should I add Lyra? Because I've never heard of her. We'll add her. Screw it. Let me get rid of the Becky Lynch since that's who we're doing today, and also Rikishi. Becky Lynch is married to Seth Rollins. I didn't know that, and I don't even think Seth Rollins is on our list, so maybe we should add him, right? So that would be a good idea. We'll add him too. Screw it, we're gonna keep learning and adding people. Oh, wait. I just got here. I just blinked. Hold on. It just started. Ugh. Now she doing my girl Bianca like that.
Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. Ouch. That was really high and that looked like it hurt. That hurt my stomach. Oh, she's just known to just pummel people into tables, huh? Oh! You don't touch the man's man. Damn, she's beating the brakes off these women. Maybe that's why they call her their man. She aggressive. She's beating on these women.
With a chair.
Oh, which one is this? This is her most dominant moments? That's terrifying. This is her most dominant moments, not her most savage. This is terrifying. Oh my gosh.
Becky Lynch driven by
Is she bleeding? She had blood on her face? I'm scared.
And Becky
She
just
is whooping that girl. Oh. This girl's crazy. She's psycho. She's beating everybody with chairs. She really likes her weapons, apparently. Oh!
bouncing off.
Oh my!
Never.
Bro, that sounds like it hurts. How rough are those chairs? Because why does it actually sound like that's painful? Jesus, that sounds like it hurts so bad. And she's so aggressive. Like, they're talking about get off me, and she's still beating the brakes off of them. On the chair.
And let me tell you.
I don't have my fall sound effect, but if I did, fall! They're actual metal chairs. Yeah, no, Charlotte Flair is getting actually in this video. Like, she's getting completely dogged. I need to. Sip said you should watch I Shall Speed Wrestling vid where he trained. Maybe I will watch that specific video, but I do feel like I need to see some backstory with actual wrestling, like how they train to be brutally hit like this. How do they train this way and not get hurt? Like, it's crazy.
It's not gonna be good.
Man, oh man, don't turn your back. In the...
Is there a freaking fight?
Becky Lynch.
She said, "Fuck that girl." R.I.P. Charlotte Flair.
And Lynch
I do think, like, why are all these moments with weapons, though? Where the hell are the moments without weapons? She gets a lot of sick moments without weapons, too, from what I'm seeing. Look at, like... Oh. Why does Charlotte Flair keep fighting her?
So much
To both these women. And
spine first.
didn't face the man. The man still got it.
Oh! She is... Okay, girl in the blue hair and Charlotte Flair are getting absolutely dogged by her. Oh!
Exploder.
Into the
Fights
wall. It'd be crazy if she threw her into the crowd. It'd be fucking insane if she just grabbed Bianca and just tossed her ass into the crowd.
And now Lynch
Oh my god.
Just
guess what? She's taking.
Oh my god. She is
look at the combination
brutal.
offense. Cut it.
Oh!
Right into the punch.
Oh, so what I'm learning is this girl is really
Becky Lynch is on.
Oh no. Oh, Bianca, baby, why you keep getting done like that? No, I love Bianca. Don't do that. Oh no. Oh, right into the
And
chair.
now sends Lacey.
He's first off the chair in the ring. Nowhere.
Oh, Lord have
Exploder into
mercy.
the cage. In.
Carmella. Wait, I haven't heard of Carmella. Should we watch Carmella too? I don't know. I have Sasha Banks listed on the list already. I don't know who that is. Dude, and they're actually bleeding. Like, yo. The problem is Becky Lynch is also putting her body in danger when she's doing these stunts. Like, these are insanely aggressive stunts. And she can get very hurt if she does it any type of wrong.
He lands off the second rope.
Right out of the chair to
Lacey, cover and moves. Taking care of business.
Oh,
with
my.
handle slap.
Finding some payback.
Oh, why by the hair? Why you gotta pull my girl by the hair?
Let's pull
Nah,
it
she's
back
doing
that
Bianca
moment. Another
dirty.
champion for
I'm really
Becky
more
Lynch's hair.
concerned how she's not hurting her.
shoulder.
I don't think it was intentional.
Oh, is that Ronnie? Becky
You've
don't
enjoyed your
care.
employment.
Oh my gosh, Becky do
Up
not
there
care.
as well.
Rose to the top of the ring post. Leg drop to Becky.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was her most dominant moments. My goodness, that was terrifying. Okay, that was scary. That girl is very terrifying, very aggressive. Like I said, I'm kind of more terrified at the fact that she's really putting her body in insane danger. That was her husband in the last clip? Okay. Wow. Hopefully he's not as insane as her. I don't know what to say. Alright. Moving on to next, we're doing Becky Lynch Savage Moments. Then after this, we'll be doing her career story. Oh, crap. It's a little hot in here, guys. Like, I turned my AC on, but it is insanely hot in here. I have all these lights and my PC and stuff. I'm sweating. And I have no water. I know. I already know what y'all gonna say. I know. I should have brought water. Alright. Becky Lynch Savage Moments.
Chin lifted. See the doctor. Face Ronda Rousey. Go home.
I feel like I want to see more moments before we continue. I want to see more moments like this with a lot of wrestlers, because I know that it's not just their fighting, it's also their mic work that gets them as big as they are. So I really would like to see more talking from wrestlers, if you guys know what I'm trying to say. So I don't know exactly what it's called, but their personalities on the mic is also very important. What did she say? Let me put the volume up. She said, "How's Steph?"
You know.
After I pushed her in the face.
Oh damn, girl! Why you beating on this woman? What happened? What's the beef? She's definitely aggressive.
When I get my way, I'm taking my title back. You bitch.
Oh my gosh, she's aggressive. I like her personality though.
Charlotte, I'm kidding.
I just want you to call me queen.
Call her queen, that's in it. She the man.
I could do all of this.
So her savage moments are calling other women bitches.
Do this for you. You're welcome.
Oh, damn. I feel like I'm not getting enough out of Becky though. I feel like we're just gonna go to her career history. So I feel like I want to get more out of her, and I'm not getting what I want to get out of her. So we're gonna watch her career story. Of course, it says relentless. Relentless. I guess because she's Ireland, and this is the Becky Lynch story. Hopefully, we can get more out of her. I really want to get to know her, like her for herself, you know.
The wrestling industry's existence, women have played something of a second fiddle. Sure, there have been those who managed to break through over the years, be it early pioneers like Mildred Burke and Mae Young, or turn-of-the-millennium stars like Chyna, Trish Stratus, and Lita, but for as good as they all were, none of them were ever treated like the main attraction.
Right.
This did start to change with the coming of WWE's Women's Revolution a few years back, as talents such as Sasha Banks, Charlotte Flair, and Bayley rose to top-level positions, often headlining cards with the best matches on any given show.
Oh, Lord.
That being said, however, it would take another to go all the way to the very pinnacle of the business, becoming the first ever female to be pushed as the face of a major worldwide promotion, as well as main event Wrestlemania. This woman, of course, is Becky Lynch, and she has, without a doubt, changed the wrestling world forever. But how did this all come to be?
Buff.
Well, join us today as we take a deep dive into her fascinating entire career journey so far in Relentless, the Becky Lynch story. Rebecca Quinn was born on January 30th, 1987 in Limerick, Ireland. Soon after her birth, however, her parents would split up and she moved to the Dublin suburb of Baldoyle, where she would spend the rest of her childhood. It was there that she began watching pro wrestling with her brother Richie, sparking a lifelong love affair that the two siblings would share. They took this love affair to the next level when in 2002 they found out that local wrestlers Fergal Devitt, aka Finn Balor, and Paul Tracy were opening a training school in Ireland. Here, Becky took on the moniker of Rebecca Knox and had her first match after only 5 months in the school.
Lord.
Clearly, she was a quick learner then, and it wasn't long before
cooking up men. What do you mean?
She and her brother were taking part in mixed tag bouts at NWA UK Hammerlock. Of course, Knox was still only 15 at this point, so despite her passion for being in the ring, school had to come first, and it was there that she got involved in horse riding, swimming, and basketball. Despite this interest in all things athletic, though, she claims to have failed PE at school. Not that this slowed her down much. She soon left school altogether, in fact, and while continuing to wrestle in her spare time, she also enrolled herself at University College in Dublin, where the future Lass Kicker would go on to study philosophy, history, and politics. Eventually, she dropped out of this course, discovering that the academic life just couldn't measure up to the fun she was having in the ring. It was around this time that she began to take her wrestling career more seriously.
I feel like a lot of people do that. They kind of realize that the thing that they do want to do doesn't require a further education. I wanted to go to college, but school's just not for me for multiple reasons. I just don't like school that much. So I just found a career that didn't require it.
Then, as she traveled to Canada to join Supergirls Wrestling. Here, she got her first taste of title success when she defeated Mischievous to become the inaugural Supergirls champion on June 24th, 2005. Nice. Becky wasn't satisfied with just that, though.
So she's one of those people that actually did start out in the wrestling world, at least before she got big. I know there's a lot of wrestlers that don't even start out in the wrestling world. Someone just picks them out and say, "Hey, we're gonna try this." So I think Bianca was one of them actually. Bianca Belair. She wasn't wrestling before. She was athletic. She was running track, but she wasn't wrestling at all. And, you know, they kind of just threw her in there. So, at least she had a wrestling backstory.
Everything she could, and the next few years saw her work in places as disparate as France, Japan, and the US, the latter of which being where she worked for Shimmer Women's Athletes, probably the #1 women's wrestling promotion in North America at that time. It was while with Shimmer that she established herself as a heel for the first time and looked to be on the verge of breaking out into the next level altogether. Unfortunately, though, while wrestling a match in Germany in September 2006, the Irish woman sustained a bad head injury, leaving her with extremely painful headaches, loud buzzing in her left ear, and hampered vision as a result. This forced her to, by and large, retire from in-ring competition.
I was about to say, this sounds like something that'll probably discourage her and take her out of wrestling, period, which really sucks. But it didn't, obviously.
Next 6 years, and meant having to try out a number of other different career paths, such as acting, clown college, and even working as a flight attendant for Aer Lingus. None of this was what she really wanted to do with her life, though. Before beginning training as a teenager, Becky was falling down what she's since described as a dark path with alcohol, something that performing in the ring helped her put a stop to. Having that taken away from her so suddenly then must have been hard to adapt to, but she was able to power through it regardless, even managing to make the odd appearance at wrestling shows during this period, most notably as a manager for Brittany Knight, later to be known as Paige, in 2011. By 2013, however, things were looking up again as the damage created by her head injury years before had largely repaired itself, leaving her feeling confident enough to lace up her boots once more.
Nice.
At this point, the World Traveler's previous reputation on the indies was enough to get her signed to a developmental deal with WWE, and so, revigorated at having a second chance to follow her dream, she moved to Florida, where she began reporting to NXT.
I love that she probably was discouraged and thought she would never wrestle again, and then she got a second chance.
Name of Becky Lynch. Those first few months would be spent with her in the Performance Center learning the WWE style of things, but by June 26, 2014, Lynch would be ready to make her first appearance on NXT TV, debuting a pretty awful Irish dancer gimmick. Sure, she did get a win over Summer Rae that night, but the character was dead on arrival, a complete caricature of an Irish woman and something that had obviously been created by someone who knew nothing of the country other than Riverdance.
Exactly.
Still, Becky soldiered on despite this, hoping to let her in-ring work
being from Ireland and allowing that is kind of crazy.
do the talking for her instead. On her second week in NXT, she teamed with Bayley to take on Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair, a match that would end up serving as a preview to where things were going in the company's future. These 4 women would of course go on to form the backstage unit known as the 4 Horsewomen, and together they would shift the balance of power in women's wrestling by putting on excellent performances week in and week out, often stealing the show and opening up the eyes of more than a few fans as time went on.
We definitely have to watch some of this.
It was here that Becky started a singles program with Charlotte, who was, at the time, the NXT Women's Champion. After losing 3 consecutive matches to the champ, however, the former air hostess turned heel, aligning herself with Sasha Banks and forming Team Bay, a pairing that wouldn't last long, as it turned out Banks would attack Becky in February 2015 following her match with Bayley. By now, you can see the essential role these 4 women were playing in each other's development, and this all came to a head at TakeOver Rival, when the Horsewomen collided in a fatal 4-way match for the NXT Women's title.
I want to watch that! That'd be so heat.
Wouldn't get the win on that night. That honor would go to the Boss, but the Limerick native was able to get another chance when she beat Bayley and Charlotte in a #1 contendership match on NXT TV soon after, then took on Banks again at TakeOver Unstoppable. This was where she debuted a new iteration of her character, complete with a steampunk-themed look and more vibrant red hair that was based on Magic the Gathering character Chandra Nalaar. Unfortunately for her, this night would also end in defeat, but it did become something of a breakthrough performance, showing Lynch in full sympathetic babyface mode and letting people see that she had the potential to get over with fans in a major way. With this in mind, she was one of the 3 of the Horsewomen called up to the main roster on the July 13th, 2015 episode of Raw, formally kicking off what Stephanie McMahon had at that time branded the Divas Revolution. Now, to say that women had only just gotten good at sports then would be ridiculous. We were well into the careers of athletes like Ronda Rousey and the Williams sisters by this point.
Right.
But what this moment did do was mark a change in the philosophy within WWE about how they portrayed women's wrestling on the main roster. Fan criticism of the way female performers were being treated was starting to bubble over, and so with Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte all now on the main show, they could begin putting on the same kind of great matches that they'd already...
I do feel like women were put in a certain light when they were athletic. Even if it wasn't just wrestling, I feel like in any sport, let's be honest, they were being treated some kind of way.
Been doing over on NXT. It didn't go perfectly at first. We were still dealing with some hangovers of the Divas era at this point, but by the time WrestleMania 32 came around, the stage was set for the Horsewomen to show what they could do as they fought it out in a triple threat match to crown the new WWE Women's Champion. And show it they most certainly did. That night, they had probably the best match of the entire show, silencing any critics and reigniting the division in what would now be rebranded as the Women's Revolution from there on in. Still though, despite being part of such a historic match, Becky was beginning to feel slighted behind the scenes. With the obvious star power of Sasha and Charlotte next to her, it felt very much like she was being portrayed as a third wheel at times, always having to prove herself more so than her stablemates.
Yeah.
When she was moved over to the Smackdown brand during the
them two probably already had a name and you didn't, so...
2016 draft, however, she found herself separated from them for the first time, and now had the opportunity to finally step out of their shadows. It was at this time where Becky became the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion after winning a six-pack elimination match at September 11th's Backlash. From there, she moved on to a program with Alexa Bliss, showing that she had it in her to be the face of the division. This feud with Bliss would continue all the way through the new year and beyond, as the two traded the title back and forth with each other. At one point, a returning Mickie James even got involved, using her already established status as a legend in the division to help put Becky over.
Mickie James? I don't know that name. Is that another known name? Now I gotta add another person.
Further. Still, despite all this, when it came time for WrestleMania 33 in April of 2017, Lynch was once again treated like something of an afterthought, ending up being just another body thrown into a six-pack challenge won by Naomi, while over on the Raw side, Sasha, Charlotte, and the now called-up Bayley were getting to have a blowaway four-women match with Nia Jax. Yes, it seemed like for as much as she did, the last kicker just couldn't break through that glass ceiling. While Sasha and Charlotte were making history by being the first women to headline pay-per-views and take part in Hell in a Cell matches, Becky was increasingly becoming tarred with the stigma of being the Marty Jannetty of the group. And the next year only seemed to solidify this as she took part in a series of throwaway feuds with the likes of Natalya and Carmella. The former SmackDown Women's Champion did get to be the team captain in that year's Survivor Series elimination match, but it didn't really mean much in the end as she was the first one eliminated that night. As 2018 began, things showed some signs of promise though. Becky entered the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match at number 2 and lasted for an impressive 30 minutes, but by the time WrestleMania 34 came around, she was once again thrown to the wayside, taking up a spot in the pre-show Battle Royal, while Charlotte went on to become the first woman to beat Asuka while in WWE later that night. And for as frustrated as she was, fans were even more so. They had taken to Lynch as a babyface and wanted to see her get more success than she was having. Thankfully then, both her and her fans were rewarded when in mid-2018 she began going on something of a winning streak. It started quietly, of course. She would pick up a win here and there, defeating the likes of Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and Peyton Royce. Eventually, though, people began to realize what was happening, and this gradually built until she met the SmackDown Women's Champion Carmella in a non-title match, pinning her that night to earn a shot at the gold during the upcoming SummerSlam pay-per-view.
I feel like she deserved
The only problem with this in fans' eyes was that Charlotte Flair also found herself getting interjected into the match at the last minute, turning the whole thing into a three-way. By that point, there was an increasingly vocal segment of the fan base that saw Charlotte's continued pushes above every other woman on the roster as nothing more than an act of nepotism, given that she was the daughter of the legendary Ric Flair, and a backlash was forming because of this. So of course, when Flair ended up winning the triple threat match to become the SmackDown Women's Champion at SummerSlam, effectively stealing Becky's big moment right out from under her, fans rejected the decision. And when the last kicker turned on her former friend afterwards, they cheered her on in doing so. This wasn't in the company's original plans though. The post-match attack was supposed to be Lynch's heel turn, but no one watching the show was buying that. What they saw instead was someone who had clawed their way up to earning a title shot and then had it stolen by the girl with the silver spoon in her mouth.
Holy shit. That makes sense, though. If I was a fan of that crowd, I'd probably be heated, too. If Becky really did fight all the way up to this and this girl just stole it because she has the Flair name, I'd be so mad.
Now, to WWE's credit here, seeing that they had another potential Daniel Bryan-level rebellion on their hands, they quickly course-corrected and started pushing Becky as an anti-hero figure instead, fighting every injustice that had befallen her. It was then that the man character was born.
I like that anti-hero character. That's amazing.
Claiming that she was now the top dog in the company, male or female. And to be fair, this wasn't wrong. With Roman Reigns out battling leukemia at the time, there was a face of the company-shaped void left in his place, and over the next few months, Becky's popularity surged to the point where she became that face. Fans were increasingly being drawn in by her modern-day Stone Cold-type persona, seeing her as a representative of everyone who had ever been held down. And following the birth of this new superstar-making gimmick, the Man faced Charlotte at Hell in a Cell, where she would manage to regain her Smackdown Women's Championship, much to the delight of the audience. After this, she beat Flair twice more, once at Super Showdown, and then again at the women's
they wanted that to happen. They had to have her beat Flair.
Pay-per-view Evolution. While this was going on, UFC star Ronda Rousey was well into her first year with WWE, and according to behind-the-scenes buzz, the company were planning on mortgaging her mainstream star power to have WrestleMania 35 feature the women in the main event for the first time, with the plan allegedly being to have the former bantamweight champion face Charlotte Flair that night. Reality, though, was telling Vince McMahon something different altogether, as Becky Lynch continued to get more and more over with fans everywhere, with many of them now suggesting that if any woman should take on Ronda at the biggest show of the year, it should be her instead. The two were scheduled to meet before that, however, at the November 18, 2018 Survivor Series. During the brawl that followed, though, Lynch was accidentally punched in the face for real by Nia Jax, leaving her busted open at the nose and legitimately concussed.
Oh, no.
The image of a bloody-faced Becky standing tall at the end of that night has since gone on to become iconic in its own right, and has been compared to Steve Austin's scarlet-coated face at WrestleMania 13. This moment, and the fallout which saw her then have to be pulled from the Survivor Series on medical grounds, only served to make the Man even more popular, as fans who had been eagerly anticipating the showdown now wanted it that much more. And just like that, Lynch versus Rousey became the hottest program in all of wrestling. The two engaged in a continued Twitter war over the next few months, only increasing the anticipation for the eventual showdown. By now, everyone wanted it to main event WrestleMania, not because it would be a historic moment for the company to cross off its Women's Revolution checklist, but because it fully deserved the spot. Becky was the biggest babyface in the company.
Real beef, like, just building up between them? No, that would be so fire.
Ronda was the heel with huge mainstream star power. It was a no-brainer. And that's the way it looked like things were going. By December of 2018, the Man had been cleared to return to in-ring competition. However, she would end up losing her title to Asuka at the subsequent Tables, Ladders, and Chairs pay-per-view. She would get a rematch on January 27, 2019 at the Royal Rumble, but would be unsuccessful yet again. Not that it mattered in the end, though. She would return later that evening to enter the Rumble match itself, eventually winning it after last eliminating her old foe, Charlotte Flair. The next night on Raw, Becky showed up to confront that brand's women's champion, Ronda Rousey, and would announce her intention to challenge Ronda at the grandest stage of them all. From there, it could have been a simple storyline, the babyface trying to overcome the all-conquering heel. However, to throw a spanner into the works, Becky was kayfabe suspended from WWE for attacking Stephanie McMahon, and would subsequently be replaced by Charlotte Flair in the match. A couple of weeks later, Becky would be reinstated by the company, turning the Mania main event into a triple threat. Throughout all of this, Becky would have to fight through a series of trials at the hand of the Authority to keep her spot in the bout. You could see what they were trying to do, of course, recreate the Austin-McMahon dynamic of years prior. And after Charlotte was added to the match at the last minute, she went on to win the Smackdown Women's title, which made the WrestleMania Showdown a winner-take-all match for both belts as a result. Despite the build-up being fumbled somewhat, though, fans were still excited to see their hero finally get her due. And when the time for the match...
So even this guy who does wrestle careers has to blur some stuff. Are y'all getting on me about copyright? Goodbye.
Match came on April 7th, 2019. They were all in for the history-making moment, which ended with Becky catching the pinfall over Ronda after 21 minutes and 30 seconds.
Nice.
The lasting image of that night,
Deserved.
which saw the man hold aloft both title belts, echoed the big win of Daniel Bryan 5 years prior, and only seemed to further solidify that she was now the top dog. She had won the first ever women's WrestleMania main event, and had done so as the undisputed hottest star in the industry. Following this, Becky Two Belts went on a dominating run, going through the likes of Lacey Evans, while also appearing in mixed tag matches with her real-life boyfriend Seth Rollins. She would eventually drop the SmackDown Women's title back to Charlotte, but the Raw belt remained around her waist for a full year, as the champ regularly defended it in main events, while also appearing at outside promotional events for the company, usually as the star attraction.
Of course.
She appeared on the cover
face.
of ESPN magazine, the first WWE superstar ever to do so. And that same year, she was also voted Pro Wrestling Illustrated's most popular wrestler in
I'm
2019.
So proud of her.
On top of that, she even made a cameo appearance in the TV show Billions, and was the only female performer in the company's history to become the top merch seller across the board, beating the likes of John Cena and Roman Reigns. She continued to back it all up in the ring too, besting challengers like Natalya and Sasha Banks, the latter of which ended with a fantastic Hell in a Cell bout between the two horsewomen. Towards the end of the year, we also got the first hints of a feud between the Man and NXT's Shayna Baszler when the two met in a three-way match at November 24th's Survivor Series. Baszler was of course a legit MMA fighter in her own right, and a good friend of Ronda Rousey, the two making up half of MMA's four horsewomen. So this program seemed like a no-brainer. It was eventually confirmed as the 2020 WrestleMania program when the Queen of Spades formally joined the main roster in February of that year, quickly setting her sights on both Lynch and her belt. It was expected at this point that Shayna would be the one to finally dethrone Becky, but to the surprise of many, the Raw Women's Champion was able to overcome her at WrestleMania 36 and retain her title, keeping her run going on past
they can't let Becky lose now. Her name is too big. They need to hold on to her as long as possible.
the year mark.
Until her name
After that, it was unclear what was next. The Man had gone through just about every challenger available, and when Asuka won the Money in the Bank contract at the titular pay-per-view on May 10th, folks began to wonder if it was time for the Empress of Tomorrow to finally take her down. And she ended up doing just this. Sort of.
Lord.
The night after Money in the Bank,
this girl?
Becky
She
showed up on
scared
Raw
me.
with the Money in the Bank briefcase and invited Asuka down to the ring to speak to her. Once both women were face to face, the Irish woman opened up the briefcase to reveal the title itself, telling the Japanese native that it now belonged to her as she was being forced to vacate it. The reason for this was simple. She was pregnant. Yes, the Man was becoming the mom. She and her by then fiance.
What? I mean, congrats, but what?
Seth Rollins would soon be welcoming their first child into the world, and because of this, Lynch would remain mostly absent from public life during the intervening time. That was until December 4th, 2020, when she and Rollins announced the birth of their daughter Rue on social media. With motherhood now her main focus for the foreseeable future, there's been considerable speculation about where the future of Becky's in-ring career lies. It does feel inevitable that she'll return.
I think she, well, we know for a fact that this video is probably before her return last year, I'm assuming. But I do think that she will return because she needs to just heal, spend some time with her baby, and she'll be able to come back. I think she'll be
as a
fine.
regular TV character. The Man's just too big of a star not to at this point. Some have even suggested that she might play a role at WrestleMania 37, and that we may even get to finally see that one-on-one match with Ronda Rousey before it's all said and done. Either way, whatever she decides, her legacy is already cemented as being a pioneer for women in wrestling forever,
I think she'll
carving out
definitely
paths
come
that
back.
no one even had a chance to come close to before her, and paving the way for many in the future to go even further. When all is said and done, she'll probably go down as the biggest star in the history of women's wrestling. And to be honest, there isn't anyone who deserves it more because she's truly had one hell of a ride to make it to the top.
Yeah, she fought hard.
Well
to
guys,
get to
what
the
did you
top.
think of the video?
I love that. Oh my gosh, I actually fucking love that. Okay, that was Becky Lynch, guys. We saw her best entrance, some of her best moments, and her history. That was absolutely beautiful. I really do hope she is having a wonderful time with motherhood. We did see, let me see, hold on. Because the entrance we saw was... When was it? 10 months ago? Is that what it said? Let me see. I want to know when her best... Yeah, it was 10 months ago. So she did end up coming back. I think that video was like 4 or 5 years ago, and she did end up coming back. So very, very wonderful. I'm happy that she came back. She's badass. I love the character they created for her. I love how she really fought, you know, her way from the bottom to the top. It was absolutely beautiful.